Hello and welcome to what is the first session in the CineLink Talks online series at the 26th Sarajevo Film Festival. The series is done in cooperation with Documentary Campus and Screen International, and it's inspired by the famous CineLink Talks held annually at the Sarajevo's Hotel Europe during the CineLink Industry Days. Much like with this year's online edition of the festival, we wanted to continue doing what the talks were intended for, regardless of everything that's happening in the world, which is bringing together experts in the film industry from all over the world to tackle all these questions that are on our minds and share their insights into some of the key issues facing the world of cinema today. Our topic for the day is supply chain interrupted, the regional perspective. So, video consumption habits are changing drastically. The whenever, wherever, and on whatever terminal dominates the viewer experience globally. Changes in user demand, changes in technical development and market disruption caused by global events, such as environmental change and pandemics, have drastically altered business models of content providers. Moreover, the latest health crisis caused by COVID-19, an already disrupted film industry chain that operates on different release windows, probably requires more reimagination and innovation. How has the global situation affected content providers in the region of former Yugoslavia? Does a response to global pandemics require more collaborative practices among key players in the region? And other questions will be discussed today. My name is Jovan Marjanović. I'm the head of the industry for Sarajevo Film Festival, and here to discuss these questions with you and me and talk about their activities are Sanja, Božić-Ljubičić, who introduced Pickbox Now, the first subscription-based VOD service in our region that can be viewed independently through desktop, mobile, tablet, and smart TV applications, or through telecom operators in Croatia, Slovenia, Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, and Macedonia. She also launched a TV channel called Pickbox TV, airing premiere series and feel-good movies distributed in Croatia and Bosnia, while her agency, Media Vision, runs the New York market, or known as NEM, a key TV industry event in Central and Eastern Europe region, held twice a year in Dubrovnik and Zagreb. Christof Papousek is the CFO of Constantin Film Group of companies, including Cineplexx, Austria, and Southeast Europe. Christof is a co-founder of the group's international cinema operation. As entrepreneur and a co-shareholder, the company has developed and acquired 25 cinemas in the Southeast Europe region in 11 different countries, including the latest market entrances in Romania and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Igor Stanković, owner and CEO of MCF Megacom, established in 2004, the company is today's leader in film distribution of both independent and studio titles in former Yugoslavia. MCF is a key partner for film festivals across the region, providing rights for the most visible international art house titles each year. MCF also organizes film festivals, most notably the Auteur Film Festival in Belgrade, and is also a theatrical exhibition company with cinemas across Serbia. So we have some housekeeping to do. The session will last for 60 minutes altogether. We have reserved the last 10 to 15 minutes to questions from registered participants. You can start posting your questions at your convenience in the Q&A tab question, but in English only, please. Sorry about that. And our team will pick specific questions not tackled in the talk and will address them during the last portion of our discussions. For the speakers, don't worry about the questions coming in on your screen. Our team will select them and I will pose them to you. So I'd like to start with Sanja, whose business has been online and on demand for quite some time already. So everything that happened over the past 6 months have obviously disrupted the usual distribution windows, but how has it affected your businesses?
Well, we're financially affected as everybody else. which is especially important to say in our Balkan region, that has had a lot of problems, that is not so mature as the markets on the West. So we still have some problems in accessing all that is offered. We're offering Pickbox now for 6.5 years. 6, yes. And we've had a lot of problems that I really couldn't think of. But as time went by, you saw that people thought that they could watch Pickbox now only through telcos. Then when you explained that it is a standalone, it was a matter how, what, when, where. So we're still not that mature as we would all like to be, but we're moving somewhere. We're usually in that area a little bit behind the other parts, let's say, of the world. What COVID has shown us as a company is that first we were, as everybody in the world I'm sure was, we were not sure what was going to happen. We are very emotional as a region. So our first response was, okay, let's give it to people just for free to watch. Because you didn't know what was going to happen. And I'm sure you get me, guys from the region get me, because we are those warm and fuzzy types that is like, there's not going to be tomorrow. So let's give it all and see what people will get accustomed to in this horrible time that we were all experiencing together. And I have to say that since the beginning of Pickbox, we took a little bit of a turn towards more European and things that are closer to us as people. We all love American shows, obviously, and Pickbox has them. What we try to introduce is European content, and I must say that it has gone very well. In terms of everything else, it's hard. It's hard to do business in the Balkans. I'm sure you know. And we have different businesses. So you have media translations that does subtitling. You have Media Vision that organizes NEM that now cannot be organized or held, and we have Pickbox. So every type of business you go into in the Balkans is much, much harder than anywhere else. I don't know why that is. Maybe because we're suspicious as people. I don't know. I know that NEM, for instance, was a success from day one. It should have been year 8 this year. Well, we don't have it, but we have something else instead, which is called the NEM Network. I'm sure you'll love it. You just go check it, and it's really something to.
You'll tell us more about that, because that's very interesting. But maybe I can go to Christof now, whose company has entered the Balkans strongly over the past decade with new cinemas across the region, and one opening in Sarajevo very soon. Obviously, the prospects for the theatrical market are difficult at the moment, but what can you tell us about the changes that this will bring to the overall theatrical exhibition business?
Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. And it's sad that we meet in this way, but it's still fine that the film festival is happening, is taking place online, and it's very important to show that our industry cannot go down, and we still show our presence also in this virtual format. Thank you to all of you, of your team, to Miro Purivatra, with all your efforts and energies. Well, the cinema as one part of the whole industry was affected dramatically. We have been closed since mid of March. And during this time, there was no chance for cinemas to show a sign, to show any reaction. We could only wait until authorities, governments let us go back into business. On the other hand, we also have a responsibility towards our employees and towards our guests, as we are a kind of movie event platform where many people meet together. And during this crisis, we have to be very careful to avoid infection and too many people in one place. So this was also something where we had to discuss many things in terms of safety measures, etc., etc. And now we can slowly go back to the markets and slowly start. But it depends from territory to territory, city to city. And during this time, certainly other formats could be consumed easier, and the cinema partly got out of the people's minds, and that's the big danger. And now our big challenge is to reactivate the market and to emphasize that a movie theater is the place where you can watch a cinema at its best. You have the big screen, you have comfort, you have sound, you have the joint experience with other people and the out-of-home moment. And this is something we have to work on for our comeback. On the other hand, for this comeback, we need content. It's not only about political safety measures and our own safety measures. We also need content. Without content, certainly we cannot function. Maybe in some niche parts of the industry, but the mainstream part, the multiplex business, only works with new releases, with big releases, and cinemas are the place where movies are watched at the first stage. And cinema stands for that. And if you don't have the content, you cannot function. And many examples from markets which have opened earlier, already in May or mid of June or beginning of July, theaters are empty because content is missing. So we are all waiting for autumn, where many movies will be again released in theaters, and together with our partners in the industry of distribution, we have to work intensively on this comeback.
This brings us to you, Igor. As a distributor, you're in the middle of the supply chain. How did the pandemic affect your business, with festivals being cancelled and cinemas closing? What did you resort to?
First of all, thanks for inviting me to be a part of this great panel. It's always better being in live there in beautiful Sarajevo, but okay, this year it's gonna be just a year, and next year will be everything. Yeah, the next year will be everything as is used to be. Thanks to the festival, thanks to the whole team, and thanks to you keeping a flame still burning. And that'll be even better, even bigger festival next year. We all believe in that. Yeah, being a film distributor and someone who is in between cinemas, platforms, TV channels, and everything else is, and especially now festivals, which are not happening in a way as they used to happen, is in a way really challenging. So cinemas are something what we need definitely, as it was recommended in early March, April, May, to stay at home and stay away, making social distancing, physical distances and everything. Tomorrow, definitely, and hopefully they'll start already from early September, we will need to become a part of social life. And the best place for mingling, becoming a social is cinema. That is the perfect place for everything, hanging out, having birthdays, celebrating whatever, or just going there to enjoy some films. So cinemas will be back, but something happened in between. Platforms took the place, and hopefully that will not be for a long time, because America is really changing a lot of things there though. So that 70 years old low Paramount decrees has changed. So we'll see probably in the future time that studios can become owners of the cinemas as well. Studios started opening their platforms. So cinema will remain the place for definitely big films and festival events. The other things, and that'll be challenging for us as a film distributors, we should find a way to make a perfect home for the other products, for the rest of the content. In this actually very first days of that stay-at-home COVID-19 stage, or how to call that, lockdowns, yeah. We were started thinking in a different way, because none of us could predict that this will last for already 5 months, and none of us knows for how many months more, but life needs to go on. Cinemas needs to become open, same as schools. Because we are social beings, we should have some social life. Okay, in Balkan, which is really different, we prefer to go to the nightclubs. Doesn't matter how risky places they are, but cinemas are probably the most safer places comparing to they're even safer than stores, than shops where we are going to buy daily things. So it will be challenging, and we were started actually at the very beginning, in very first days of lockdown, with some initiative, trying to make that replacement for those films which were planned to be released theatrically, and that was not impossible for them to be released, and that was time for them to be released. We were started with a platform. Results of that platform and numbers on that one was extremely huge, enormous in some of the countries of Balkan. Sure, that was free of charge, and because of that, the numbers and everything was like that. TV channels started working well. The other platforms are as well, because somehow this become period of time for IT companies. You know, watching a film on a platform, that is great, but somehow change has been interrupted. Like we have in a food change, bigger animals are eating smaller animals, and or even eating a grass. It's making a chain. Cinemas are on the high level of that change. IT companies, thanks to all of those, now we are witnesses that TikTok changing a lot of things there though as well. Cinemas are on the highest level there on that food chain, and will remain there, but not for all kind of food, for all kind of products, but will remain where they are. So it will be challenging for us, coming back to the point, as a film distributor, as a film distributor, coming back to the point, will be really important for us to find a proper place, proper room for every single film. Theatrical films should be released theatrically. Doesn't matter how successful could be on platforms, because studios will do the same. And together with cinemas, we should decide and define what is the perfect time for the films to stay in the cinemas. Are that 3 weekends, 2 months, or 4 months? Doesn't matter. And some of the films just on the festivals as an event, some of the films on the platforms, and like it was up to now, some of the films on TV.
Yeah, well, this is obviously something that we will tackle more. Let's see how the windows will look. But over to Sanja, because you mentioned giving out, and I must admit that I enjoyed it very much. A lot of free stuff on Pickbox during the lockdowns. What did you learn from the users in that period? Is there anything new about their how they use the platform that you can transfer into the business now? You mentioned more European content, but is that the only thing? Has this better informed your business, and has it brought, let's say, new customers to Pickbox?
Well, that was not the aim. The aim was just, okay, just watch it. It's great. You'll like it. And if you like it after, because at some point you have to start charging, we lowered the prices. We made some special actions, because the region doesn't have a lot of money. So you need to somehow, you need to feel the people and their needs and their wants. And I'm so happy you said that you enjoyed Pickbox, because a lot of thought goes into choosing content for Pickbox, and we have great partners. Without them, we couldn't do it. And they're unfortunately mostly international, which has always been my, I was always very surprised at how our regional companies are not more, let's say, aggressive towards maybe offering their content, maybe doing something, because Pickbox now is the only regional SVOD. We don't have any other. But at the same time, I can tell you, and this is always to my surprise, that local distributors are not contacting us at all, which you cannot say for the rest of the world.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I thought this group of you great people could help me understand that, because it would be normal that we would want to show our own content in a small, or I don't know how many content we do have, not many as the BBC or ITV, or I don't know, the majors, but we do have some content. And it has always been, and we haven't seen it a lot in the last at least 30 years, we didn't mismatch or cross that content. So something you're watching in Sarajevo doesn't mean that we will be able to see in Zagreb. But if you have a platform that enables you to do that, I don't know why we don't use it. I hope that you will give me an answer, because we tried. It was not for the lack of trying. We did try. And with some television, some free-to-airs, we managed to do some deals. But all in all, there are great production houses. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have gone that way, but
we can go to Igor about that one. But I wanted to ask Christof first about many cinema chains are starting their own as VOD services. Are you thinking about something similar?
Not SVOD, also as well
PVOD.
premium PVOD, premium VOD.
But also also SVOD, but also premium VOD. Yeah. Curzon has a SVOD platform.
Yes.
Curzon is also PVOD.
Okay.
I can tell you our own experience on that. We launched Cineplexx to go in 2015. We were very early, and we tried to give an additional offer to our customers and also the people who join our loyalty program, so that you could watch movies after they leave the theaters by using your loyalty points and then watch it when you're traveling or when you're at home and so on. Certainly, as a small Austrian and regional company, we could only use services provided by bigger partners. So it was a kind of white label product, and we had nice success at the beginning, but it was really hard to compete here with all the other offers which then came up intensively. And then it was quite difficult to maintain this collaboration, and then we stopped it. However, so with this step already 5 years ago, you see that we are quite open towards that as a cinema chain, because we certainly understand that people want to watch movies in which way ever, and as long as people watch movies, they will never give up coming to the theaters, and this is a vice versa stimulation, which for us is very important. Talking about windows and the big number of movies which are around, I think there will be new times from hopefully soon after the reopening of the theaters. We see a big deal, for instance, between AMC cinemas and Universal, which started in spring, in May, when Trolls was released only online and withdrawn from the theatrical release. Adam Aaron said, we will never ever again show Universal titles in our cinemas. Now he is the first who made a deal with Universal that movies can be released on platforms, on PVOD platforms, with a minimum price of $20 after 17 days, meaning 3 weekends. Agreeing to that, it's also public that there will be some share of the PVOD income provided for the cinemas. And certainly this is a watershed moment, and it will bring us to new times, and it shows chances and certainly threats. The chances are that movies which maybe would not find the way to the big screen because you cannot show every title 4 weeks, 3 shows a day, and so on and so on. If you go into the exploitation in a way of alternative content, maybe you show it 3-4 times a week, maybe 2 shows in the late night program only on a Friday, Saturday. Maybe it fits perfectly for that. And after 3-4 weeks, it goes to PVOD. That's fine. And maybe this is a stimulation to bring more content, but for not that long time. And on the other hand, the big titles will maintain in a stable and good window to squeeze everything out of the theatrical exploitation, because until now it was always the highest income for an international movie production, which came from the theatrical exploitation. And certainly a success in theaters is a success in the following chain of exploitation of the movie rights. So we see chances, we see also threats. I would not be happy if James Bond, or if, just to say something, or the Minions, or Top Gun, or movies like that will only stay 17 days exclusively in theaters. But I think this is not the idea of that deal. So we will see. There are new chances, and we are open to that. And I think also many cinema chains will reconsider the cooperation with providers like Netflix if new business models will be introduced. And I think we went through their titles like Irishman or Roma, which were great titles, but not great titles in cinemas. It was not intended to be, certainly. But I think titles could be bigger in cinema and also used in their programs and make all sides happy. We just need to work on that kind of models. We will need it. And I think we enter new times now.
Igor, can you discuss how you work with SVOD platforms and maybe react to Sanya's questions?
Yeah, why the local distributors are not interesting to supply content to the local SVOD platforms. As a matter of fact, there are very few SVOD platforms since the market of Balkan, especially in these our countries, I'm talking about Serbia, Bosnia, North Macedonia, Montenegro. These countries are still really under really high rate of piracy. So people, when they realize that they should pay for something, they rather go to take something and to download something and to watch something on that popcorn or whatever sites and watch for free. So we were faced that problem. I will go back why, but in between, I'll just like to add something. So once when you provide something for free, people are really keen to watch that. We are witnesses with a platform with an idea of the festival, online film festival. My online film festival, which is Moj Off, started 10 days after the lockdown on the 24th of March. We were open that festival with Polanski, the Roman Polanski latest film, and we were that was a real film festival, 5 film slots in a day, and 14 days films, 65 films altogether. So films have started exactly on the right time slot, like in the cinema. All films were for free. So we had that first night, even if we work with a company here locally in Belgrade, Telnet, and the platform was visible in Bosnia, North Macedonia, Montenegro, and Albania as well. And we had that night 60,000 unique clicks. I don't know what was the English translation of that one. So altogether we had 290,000 for 14 days, 64,000 unique visitors, 4.3 millions of visits of the websites in only 4 days. That was the second most visited web on Vimeo, because we used Vimeo platform for that VOD model. That was the second most visited platform website on the world in those 14 days. That was great. The numbers were great. We were transformed that platform to be transactional VOD platform with an intention to become premium VOD platform with the films which will be screened on some, but tomorrow after the festival on that platform, not with an intention to jeopardize. And the idea is great. platforms should work. Maybe that is the mistake, because for many years, platforms started working on themselves and developing their content, such as Netflix or Hulu, and studios did not do anything. And they just jumped into these platforms really few months ago, and that COVID-19 just speeded up the process of cinemas to become somehow, to fail in this really unpredictable and now studios are there. Platforms, they should secure, like Christof mentioned, the most important window, and that is theatrical window. Geez, out of that one, everything goes well. So why we are not supplying local SVOD platforms? Because we rather go and release films, actually providing films to the free TV channels and giving to free TV channels premieres, or making deals with the bigger players such as HBO, than to work locally on the platforms. And also, we all believe that one day we'll have our own platforms. So developing of the SVOD platforms is kind of must do business for all of us domestic, local distributors. So we started Mojov platform, which will remain something like Curzon to give benefits to the cinema goers. So collecting the point, the cinema you can spend on the platform and vice versa, and so on. So that will be that way, and that will be strictly transactional. But we are as well providing a lot of hours of content. So that is the reason. We are just saving the content for a day once when we'll start with our own platforms.
Sanja, this brings us back to you, and as the first SVOD platform in the region that is very established and can be accessed really from everywhere, and all the major telecom operators carry your content. How do you where do you see that the competition will come from, and how do you think the market will look in the next couple of years?
If I may, first, I think that Igor completely misunderstood what I was saying. If I could, please just explain that in like 3 sentences.
Sure.
It is not a matter of him as a local distributor to contact us with foreign content. It is a matter of our local content to get on a local SVOD platform. So we never had any idea of going into movies the way that Igor is explaining. That's obviously his business. We're more oriented towards series and feel-good movies, and the movies are there because I think that people like to watch equally movies and series, but we're more on the TV side than on the movie side. So, and I don't know who said it, but it was well said when they said that competition is always good. You need 1 million flowers to get somewhere and to have a great field in different colors with different people. And if we at some point become a little bit different, then we should probably join hands and do wonderful and great things. I hope, that is my right, my prerogative, and I think we should all aim towards that better world, but that's only me. In terms of competition, we are here from 2014, which is like 6.5 years, and we're somehow here. And people who use Pickbox like Pickbox. I'm so very happy that you said you liked it. I really am. Because a lot of thought goes into choosing what would be right for this. We don't aim to be any competition to Netflix, who has its own content, its own production. And I think that, yeah, studios were happy with making a lot of money and selling to Netflix. But at some point, Netflix said, okay, we'll now do our own content. And it's great. So Amazon is slightly different, but it's there. But you have CBS All Access now that is coming. You have BritBox that is coming. You have a lot of platforms that this region has not yet heard of, but who are going to be really good, really good. And it's, you know, there are a lot of people, and somebody likes to watch this, somebody likes to watch that, but what is good with all the VOD platforms is that you can move through the applications in a way that was never possible with anything else, which I consider a great, great advantage of VOD. Okay, now I have, I don't know, Stranger Things on Netflix. I want to watch that. But later on, I want to watch something on Amazon. Or then I'll see something Condor on Pickbox. I don't know. You can maneuver your way through different apps in a way that content was never, could never be accessed in that way. So competition, I think, in this area is welcome. People just have, the market has to be mature enough to be able to maneuver through all this content that is huge, and through all the apps that are more and more coming.
What kind of local content would you like to have in Pickbox? And did you ever think about going into content production yourselves, maybe acquiring something earlier, or discussing early acquisitions with the producers?
Of course we did, because you know that at NEM we want to make production happen, this regional production and co-production, and we have smart people, we have great people working in the production companies, and I think we have something to show to the world. Our problems are always financial, so the finance always stops the creative side. It's always been like that, and it's always going to be like that. But what I wanted to tell you is that it is strange that the people who work with local content or produce local content or sell local content never had any desire to be on a local regional SVOD, because they never contacted us. And when we contacted them about certain, I don't know, movies or series or something, there was always a question of whose are the rights, who can sell, when, what, where. So, you know, after a certain, you know, time, you just lose the attraction. But we'll get there. We're a little bit, as I told you, behind, but we'll get there. Sarajevo Film Festival is there for 26 years, doing a great job, making wonderful things happen. So NEM is here for 8 years now, and you know how hard it is to organize something like that. And we try at NEM to combine all of the media. So you have movies, you have series, you have channels, you have platforms, media agencies. I don't know. We try and combine it all, as you guys do, which is great. So hopefully, as soon as this Corona stuff gets out of the way, we'll be able to continue with Zagreb, which is primarily for production and for great creative people that I think you were there this last year in December. So we had great people there. You had Frank Spotnitz, who is like absolutely amazing, a guy who has done the X-Files, the original X-Files. He's like, and he's just one that comes to mind right now. I'm sorry. I would have to talk for like an hour to mention all the great people that were there. So hopefully when we can, we'll continue where we stopped. But Men Network, check that one.
Will do. Well, fingers crossed for the physical event, and we'll check out the digital event. And now we get to the questions and answers from our audience. I think the first one is probably for Christof and Igor as cinema owners. It says, hello all panelists, it's Jano Rosabiani, who would like to get your input regarding cinema cafes and dinner cinemas, as in dinner theaters. Do you see such venues replacing classical cinemas sometimes in the future?
May I start here? From our point of view, there are many examples of dining cinemas and drinking cinemas or combined cinemas. There are examples, for instance, in Mexico, where you have classical balcony cinemas newly interpreted in shopping malls, where on the ground floor level you have the dining experience with broad seats, with tables in between, and with little table lamps. And on the Galleria, first floor, you have the normal seating, and all people watch the same movie during the same time. For me personally, it's a quite interesting experience, because waiters are going in and out during the whole movie. They serve from burgers to donuts to ice cream and coffee. So you have quite an interesting, not only noise, but also smell. But people like it. It's a kind of culture there, and nobody complains. If you would do this in other markets, maybe people would kill the waiter entering the hall. But certainly, this question reflects the broad bow of movie theaters. And you can experience a movie in a cinema like Meeting Point, where you, Jovan, are currently sitting, which is small, which is charming, which is in a special side street of Sarajevo. You can experience it in a big multiplex, in a big shopping mall with broad leather seats. And you can here also get something to drink, something to eat with waiter service or not. If you look towards the Emirates, there you have theaters for 50 euros per ticket, and another 20 for some short roasted tuna tataki, things like that, a glass of champagne, all possible. I think it depends. There is no black and white. There's just a broad portfolio of offerings, but it's not the case that something is replacing another thing. You should only consider maybe to offer as many things as possible in a multiplex and increase the offering. That's also our vision of Cineplexx, especially in seating. So to give the biggest possible offer to our patrons.
For me, when all of this gets over and we all see each other on the other side of this, that day, the entire day champagne in the cinema will be served, and we all get drunk with me leading the bunch of people dancing and drinking. That day definitely will not care about cinema attendance, numbers, nor everything. That day will be just all day partying.
So I hope you'll send us invites.
Excuse me, let me let me add here. In Austria, we opened our theaters on the 5th of August, so 1 week ago. And due to, at that time, lower number of infections, now we see a different development, which is very concerning, unfortunately. But however, last week it was quite good, and we decided the weeks before to start with a big celebration, like a big crazy day, like you just mentioned, Igor. And it was a normal Wednesday, certainly a holiday Wednesday. And we made a cinema fest for €3 per ticket, which in Austria is approximately 1/3 of the normal ticket price. And we attracted in our cinemas 45,000 people on this Wednesday. And there were other cinema chains following our promotion. So altogether, there were approximately 80,000 people coming back to movie theaters on the 5th of August in Austria. And considering there was no US blockbuster in place, we just had 10 local European and smaller independent productions in the market, but people had a big desire to come back. And the good thing, and this is promising and encouraging us, is that people were not afraid to come. People did not say, oh, this is a cluster, here we will get infected. Yeah. No, they were disciplined, they wore the mask, entering the cinema, going to the seat, then they took the mask off and enjoyed the movie. After the movie, they took the mask and left the theater. But the social component was so great, and it was the big fest and the big comeback of cinema. And I'm so happy that this occurred.
That's very encouraging. We have a question from a young directress from Serbia, Ružica, who wonders about what happens with films that might have rejected to go online, new films in the past 6 months. Also, were there any 3D films or 4D films that couldn't be streamed online and that the cinemas would now be looking for? And she wonders about the congestion of films that piled up during the lockdowns, and whether it's going to be too difficult to program all those films once the cinemas reopen. So I think maybe Igor and then Christof.
It wouldn't be that hard to program that films, because at the very beginning there will not be that many films. And it is a really good question, because there are films which rejected to be streamed even if the films has been screened. We have an example for Otac, Father, Srdan Golubović film, which should be screened tonight in Mostar as a part of Sarajevo Film Festival. We didn't want to screen that one online because the theatrical distribution has been interrupted just after 2 weekends, and we decided whenever cinemas gets open, we will release that one again. So that is the case as well. There are films which definitely could not be released. Now we have the case for Mulan. Even if the subscribers should pay $30 to watch that one online, that will not be the same joy. That will not be the same experience, because that film should be screened on the big screen. So definitely, there are small films, there are big films which should wait theatrical release. Since I'm the one who can say, because I work with TV channels who are where films you can watch on the mobile phones, but as well, main activity is a theatrical distribution. I'm just telling, there are films for every single window, for every single audience. So cinemas shouldn't be affected tomorrow. Once everything gets back into the normal, there will be films, and young Serbian directors shouldn't be afraid. There will be always space into the cinemas, especially into the multiplexes, if not later, then now, because we will start with reruns, with films which we were screened before, and we will now program them again. But if there are some new content, new products, we would be happy to have them on release right now.
Christof, would you like to add about on these topics, congestion and films that?
I agree totally with Igor. At the beginning, it will be a low start. We experience this now, so we need the titles now to come in the theaters, and due to the big capacities we have. And the pushbacks of so many titles, I think this will be eased out over the time. So I don't see that. And as I mentioned earlier, the new way of distributing movies in theaters, implementing kind of alternative content models. Maybe this is even a chance for movies to go into theaters with a lower obligation to a number of shows in theaters. And so maybe there is a place for that kind of titles. And as earlier mentioned, competition is always good, like Sanja, you said, and I agree with you. There might be also competition in titles, and if the audience is happy with that and the demand is here, these titles will stay longer on the big screen.
That's great, but I think that we heard a lot of very interesting thoughts, and thank you for your insights. As from what I'm taking out of this session is that there are obviously the windows are going to be redefined, that VOD is going to go premium, that many of the players will try to develop their own platforms or find their place in a newly created window. There seems to be more space for cooperation between local content producers and local platforms. Obviously, there are a lot of channels and a lot of content, and making it for providing a lot of competition that will hopefully bring quality to the viewer and good experience to the viewer. So this was to wrap up this session. I'd like to thank you again for being with us today, and I hope to see you in Sarajevo very soon, and next year at the Sarajevo Film Festival, the latest. So thank you all to our panelists, Sanja, Christof, and Igor. And I would like to invite our audience to follow CineLink Talks in cooperation with Documentary Campus and Screen International. You can find the entire program online on both the festival website, the CineLink website, and the Screen website. So tune in for more interesting talks across the 8 remaining days of the Sarajevo Film Festival. Have a good evening, everyone, and thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.